Psalms 24. You don't have to really turn here. This is just where we are. Psalms 24, verses 1 through 6. The earth is the Lord, and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell within. That means everything that we see is God's. Every person that you see is God's. For he hath founded it upon the seas and established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the hills of the Lord? And who shall stand in his holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who hath not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessing from the Lord and righteousness from the God of his salvation. Verse 6 says, this is the generation of them that seek him, that seek thy face, O Jacob, Salah. The title of this message is A Call to Cleanliness and Righteousness. When they were up this morning speaking in school of ministry, I was just leaping in my spirit because they was already in the message. She was saying that you got to separate light from darkness. That's separating cleanliness and righteousness from sin. Everybody follow me? This is the state that where we at is God wants a relationship with us like never before. If you would turn yourself away from sin and sacrifice for cleanliness and righteousness, your relationship with him will be at an all-time high. I hope everybody got that. If you will sacrifice for cleanliness and righteousness, your relationship with him will be at an all-time high. This is where we are. The war cry. He said, no time to be hot or cold. They just ministered that. They didn't know what I was going to be talking about today. Cleanliness and righteousness. The purpose for this lesson is to, number one, present you with the call to cleanliness and righteousness. The second part is to show us how we fell short or our shortcomings. But everybody say amen. There's a way out. Amen. There's a way out. And the third thing is to show us God's foolproof plan in order to get us out of sin, carnality, and into cleanliness and righteousness. Everybody already know that Jesus already died for our righteousness. All that has already been established. But what we have to understand is we have to walk in it. It's just like somebody offering us $1 million, but we never go and pick it up. How many of us will get the call and say, you got $1 million, all you got to do is come down here and pick it up? How many people will go? Now this whole side, they ain't raised their hand. I'm coming over here. This is the same gift that we have. The same gift that he's calling us to. Because what God says, his word says, he will not dwell in an unclean place. Whether that's our home, whether that's our heart, whether that's our mind, he will not dwell in an unclean place. This is a call to cleanliness and righteousness. But I'm going to show you where all this sin came in. I'm going to show you that all your sins may not be yours. Turn to Genesis chapter 37, verse 1, and we'll probably go through the whole thing. I know it's 36 verses, but it's going to bless us. Again, I say us. And keep your finger there because we're going to be flipping back and forth. Genesis chapter 37, verse 1 says, and Jacob dwelt in the land wherein his father was a stranger, in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Everybody say generational. Generational. Everybody say generational. This thing is generational. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brethren. And the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with the sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Verse 3 says, now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children, because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat with many colors. Right now we see a spirit of favoritism showing up. But it didn't start here. Turn to Genesis chapter 25 and verse 28. The reason that we keep flipping back and forth is because we're going to show you exactly where all this comes from. That this was in the family. All this stuff that we're going to see in this story was already in the family long before Joseph and his brothers got there. Amen? Okay, so Genesis chapter 25 and verse 28. And it reads, and Isaac loved Esau because he did eat of the venison, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Okay, so Rebekah and also Isaac were Jacob's father and mother. Okay, so this is what we see right here. We see unfolding that it was favoritism on both sides. Okay, so this is how the spirit of favoritism crept into the family. Okay, so let's go back to Genesis chapter 37 and verse 4. And when his brethren saw that their father loved him more than all his brethren, they hated him and could not speak peaceably unto him. This is what we see. Once we turn, we're going to see where hatred came into the family, where hatred came into the generations. Say, generations. Generations. Okay. Genesis chapter 27, verse 41. Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41. And it reads, and Esau hated Jacob because of his blessing, wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning of my father are at hand. Then will I slay my brother Jacob. Right here we see that two things show up in the generations. The first thing we see hatred. The second thing we see a plot to kill. Then we ask ourselves, how in the world could brothers hate each other so much and they lie to each other so much, they lie to their father? We say, how do I get to a place where I can't stop sinning? I know I'm supposed to stop lying. I know what the word says. I know what pastor and lady say every single Tuesday, every single Sunday, but I just can't stop. Wow. I'm supposed to stop drinking, but I just can't stop drinking. I'm supposed to stop smoking, but I can't stop smoking. How do I get to this point? How did they get to this point where hatred was so deep in their heart for the flesh and blood? It was entered in because of the generations. Turn back to chapter 37 and verse 5. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. This hatred kept increasing and increasing. Yeah. And he said unto them, hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we are binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose, and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about, and made obeisance to my sheaf. Earlier, during school of ministry, pastor was talking about a famine coming. Not knowing what God had laid on my heart, but he said a famine was coming. And what we're going to see, what I'm going to kind of touch on, we ain't going to turn down, what I'm kind of touch on is this Joseph is the same person that saved all of Egypt, all of his brethren from a famine. And I say that because when you're about to get up to minister and somebody okays the word or identifies the word, then it helps your heart to leap. It allows you to know that you were in the right place and you actually heard from God. So I can stand here with confidence and tell you that God wants us to walk in cleanliness and he wants us to walk in righteousness because of everything that has already been spoken. But he's not going to leave us by ourselves. All of us have the ability to do it. All we have to do is just be more obedient. Amen. Verse 8 says, and his brethren said unto him, shalt thou indeed reign over us? Or shalt thou indeed have dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. All right, let's see what sibling rivalry came in. Turn to Genesis chapter 30 and verse 1. Genesis chapter 30 and verse 1. We're going to see every single thing that they dealt with came from their generational curses. And it reads, this is Genesis chapter 30 and verse 1, it says, and when Rachel saw that she bare Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister and said unto Jacob, give me children or else I die. The sibling rivalry was so deep that if she didn't get what she got or didn't get on the same level as her sister, she was willing to die. How deep does envy run? How deep does sin run? Let's go back over to Genesis chapter 37. Verse 9 says, and he dreamed yet another dream, and told it to his brethren, and said, behold, I have dreamed a dream more. And behold, the sun and the moon and the 11 stars made obeisance to me. And he told it to his father and to his brethren. And his father rebuked him and said unto him, what is the dream that thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brethren indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him. But his father observed the same. Okay, we see envy again. We see hatred building up. For our brothers and sisters, we're not just talking about flesh and blood brothers and sisters. We're talking about brothers and sisters in the ministry as well. Okay. How many of us envy the people that we sit next to every single Sunday? How many of us hate the people that we sit next to every single Sunday? This is a call to cleanliness and righteousness. If you talk bad about your brothers and sisters, don't you envy them? This is a call to cleanliness and righteousness. Verse 12 says, and his brethren went to feed their father's flock in Shechem. And Israel said unto Joseph, do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said to him, here am I. And he said unto him, go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brethren, and well with the flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out to the vale of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, what seekest thou? Verse 16 says, and he said, I seek my brethren, tell me, pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, they are departed hence. And I heard them say, let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brethren and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. Now I know we already turned there, but let's go back and turn to Genesis chapter 27 and verse 41, just so we can all say that we really saw it. And we can't say that we never seen it. Chapter 27 and verse 49. And it says, and Esau hated Jacob because of the blessings wherewith his father blessed him. And Esau said in his heart, the days of mourning for my father are at hand. In other words, when my father died, I'm going to kill him. then will I slay my brother Jacob. So much so that when Rebekah heard him talking, she had to go and warn Jacob, and Jacob had to leave. Okay. This thing was so serious, this killing spirit, this hateful spirit was so deep already in the generations in the family that he had to leave. This is where we are right now. He wants us clean. He wants our hearts clean. Not just doing what looked like clean. But he wants our heart clean. See, everything that we're talking about now is of the heart. He says, in his heart, he said, he will kill. They hated him. See, that's an inside thing. He's after our inside things. He wants cleanliness and righteousness of our heart. We can take all the showers we want, but if we're not right in our heart, then we're not clean. It says, clean hands and a pure heart. That means we worship for the right reason. That means we pray for the right reason. That means we intercede for the right reason. That means we work in the ministry for the right reason. A pure heart is what he's calling for right now. All right, let's go on. And it says in verse 19, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. That's what they're saying about you. That's what Satan is saying about you. God has released to you something that you're going to be, but he's putting people before you to try to stop it. Yes. Wow. There's three things that Satan is going to try to do to your dream, or the dream that God has given you. He's going to try to kill it. As we see them trying to kill Joseph. Let's read on. Then I'll give you the other two. And it says, and they said one to another, behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, and let us slay him and cast him into the pit. And we will say, some evil beast hath devoured him. And we shall see what will become of his dreams. What will become of his dreams? See, Satan's number one thing is to stop the dream that God has placed in you. That is his number one thing. He's to stop what God has put on the inside of you. Stop your gift. Stop your singing ability. Stop your singing anointing. Pardon me. Stop your ability to see in the spirit. Stop your ability to teach, to preach. Whatever it is that you do for the kingdom. His main tactic is to kill it. And if you can't kill it, let's see what happens. And Reuben heard it. And he delivered him out of their hands and said, let us not kill him. Somebody say, thank God for somebody interceding. Thank God for somebody interceding. We see Reuben here. He stands in the gap for Joseph, because if he wouldn't have stood in the gap for him, Joseph would have killed. They would have killed Joseph. But what we're going to see is Reuben was just a part-time intercessor. I got to mention the intercessors for a minute. See, what happened was he interceded just for a little while, then he left. Okay, let's go. It says, come now there and let us slay him and cast him into the pit, and we will say, some evil beast have devoured him, and we shall see what become of his dreams. And Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, shed no blood, but cast him into the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands to deliver him to his father again. The second thing we see is he's going to try to imprison your dreams. That means when he tries to imprison your dreams, that means you still going to have it in the back of your mind that the dream ain't dead, but you're too scared to use it. You're too lazy to use it. Okay. The first thing is kill it. The second thing is imprisonment or starving. Because what they said was they dropped him in a pit that had no water. That was killing him anyway. I'm sure they lived in the desert. And you put him in a pit where he couldn't get no water, couldn't get no food. Amen. And it says, and it came to pass when Joseph was come unto his brethren, that they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him. This coat of many colors represents his father's favor. That's exactly what Satan is trying to do as well, is try to strip you of your favor. But what favor God has for you, it cannot be stripped. No Satan in hell, no devil in hell can strip you of God's favor on your life. The only thing that we can do is not accept it. Verse 24 says, and they took him and cast him into the pit, and the pit was empty. There was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lift up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company of Ishmaelites came to Gilead with their camels bearing spicery and balm and myrrh, going to carry it down to Egypt. What state of heart do you have to be in that you know you threw your brother in a pit that had no food and no water in it, but you sat down to eat? Just like that greed she was talking about this morning. You got food and you see people needing it, but you refuse to give it. It's calling us to have clean hands and a pure heart. If you got something that somebody needs, then give it. Amen. What state of heart can you sit by your brothers and sisters every single Sunday and know that they wear the same thing every single time, but all you do is talk about it? You don't supply need. Clean heart, clean hands, and a righteous heart, a pure heart. 26 says, and Judah said unto his brethren, what profit it is if we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Okay. The next thing is, it's going to be dream sellers or dream misusers. That people are going to try to misuse the dream or try to take the dream and use it in a different light from what God told you to use it in. All right. It's either he's going to kill it, he's going to imprison it, or misuse it. So what they're about to do is they're about to sell him. Everything that has happened, all the hatred, everything has been generational, which leads me to want to share my testimony with you. Okay. When I was a little kid, probably about 9 or 10 years old, I would always scream out, "Mama, there go that man." So much so that even when I was growing up, she'd always remind me, remember when you used to say, you saw something, you saw that man? Even on her deathbed, she reminded me of that. The devil knew then that my gift was the ability to see into the spirit. Then one day when I was in the bathroom, I heard someone say, "Look up there." And when I looked up there, I saw some pornography books. So every day since that day, I was addicted to pornography for about 18 years. It wasn't until I got here, until I got free from pornography. Thank God for great favor. See, the whole thing was, and I'm explaining what I'm talking about, the whole thing was to kill me. Because he was wanting to lead me into a place of fornicating. So much so that I either got killed by STD or got killed by somebody because I'm messing with their wife. See, this is how he tried to kill. He couldn't do that because I had somebody interceding on my behalf. Don't know who, I'm sure it was my mom and my dad, but there was somebody interceding on my behalf. He try to imprison me, which he did imprison me for 18 years because I wasn't studying what God was trying to show me. I only wanted to see those images. I only wanted to watch pornography. I only wanted to look at books. Say, thank God for freedom.
Thank God for freedom.
He will try to misuse you too. Let's go on. And it says, come and let us sell him to the Ishmaelites, and let not our hands be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh. And his brethren were content. Then there passed by the Midianites the merchantmen, and they drew and lifted him up, Joseph, out of the pit, and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver. That ain't much, y'all, because they had to divide it up. 20 pieces of silver. You had to divide it up by 11. Y'all won't have about $2.50. That's all your brother and sister amount to. Okay. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rent his clothes. As we see here, we see that Reuben had left. This is what I was talking about that part-time intercessor, part-time people that only pray part-time. They in it, they see you coming out just a little bit, then they stop praying. But they don't see you all the way back to the Father like they plan to do. Clean hands and a pure heart. Clean motives. Okay, and it says, and he returned unto his brethren and said, the child is not, and I, whither shall I go? And they took Joseph's coat and killed the kid of the goats and dipped the coat in the blood. But before we go on, I want to talk to you about, had the pornography not been in the house in the first place. See, just like Joseph's brothers, Joseph's fathers and grandfathers and all that placed generational curses on them, that opened up the door for this hatred for their brother. So what God is saying to us, get all that stuff out of your house. If you got pornography in your house, it's designed to kill not only you, but kill your son and kill your daughters. Get that alcohol out of your house. Get those cigarettes out of your house, that marijuana out of your house. It's designed not only to kill you, but also to kill the generations to come. See, well, I don't know whose pornography it was, whether my brothers or my dad's or my mom's. I don't know. That's not the point. The point is the same devil that told them that they can hide it up there and nobody will find it, that's that same devil that told me to look up there. That same devil that's telling you that you can put the alcohol downstairs and hide it is the same devil that's telling you to go down there and drink it and just fill it up with water so they won't know. If it was not Satan, if it was not spiritual, how will we know? Everybody know the anthem. If you drink a little bit of the vodka, just put some water in there so mom and dad won't know. How does that spread if it's not a spirit? How does sneaking out at night spread if it's not a spirit? How can lying spread if it's not a spirit? Jesus. He not only wants our houses clean, but he wants our hearts clean. Now, he gets in and he twists our gifts. He twists who God made us. So he makes evangelists, he makes them gossipers. Okay. See, your purpose is to spread the good news, the best news, and not the mess news. I'm coming down everybody's alley. It's about all of us, including myself. Okay. Intercessors. Use your gift to find out what people need, and you turn it into judgment on spirits. See, how we get out of this thing is we continue to spread the good news. We continue to spread what God told us to say, not what's going on in somebody's life, and you know they need help. Ministers, misplaced ambitions. It's either you too crunk, or like me, you're a little nervous when it's your turn to get up. You hide because you're scared. But God says, come forth and speak what I told you to speak. Don't let the devil twist up the gift that I've given you. New members. New members and people that's just coming in and see. Too critical of what's wrong. Instead of submitting your gift and submitting to the pastor what you saw, you rather either leave or talk bad about the ministry. Wow. The way out of this is you submit your gift and you submit what God is calling you to do. If he showed you a place that's empty or a place that needs fixing, it is up to you to tell the pastors so they can place you in the right place. Singers, you can no longer have alcohol or cigarettes or marijuana pass your vocal cords. Wine coolers and cigarettes and praise and worship do not mix. Holy and marijuana and worship do not mix. He's calling us to a place of clean hands and a pure heart. It's either you're going to submit your gift or you're going to sit down. Or suffer the consequences. I interceded for a long time. I did more interceding than I did studying. So I got it. When Pastor told me, yeah, you going up next Sunday, I told him, yeah, I know. He said, you already knew. I said, yeah, because it was a burning in my stomach. God wants us free. Now we're on to the pastors, not our pastors. This is how we twist the gift of love. That the devil wants to get in and put people that will use them. That will use them up so much that their hearts get hardened because they're tired of being misused. And the way past that is to pray and ask God when you should bless somebody. Because you can't help everybody. Only God can help everybody. But the thing about this is God has given us the grace to change. I know everybody knows, but I'm going to say it anyway, that Jesus died and he was raised for us to have this righteousness, for us to be able to walk in this cleanliness, for us to be able to be dead to sin. He's already done that. That's not the purpose for today. The purpose for today is to let us in on the grace for change. He wants to break every single generational curse that you're willing to submit to. Everything that you're willing to turn over to him, he's willing to take it away. He's willing to help you change. He says when we ask for forgiveness, it's from his mind as far as the east is from the west. So he's already forgiven us. But our thing is we need to change. If your generational curse, if you know your mama and your dad and your great-grandma, if you knew they were liars, submit that to God. If you knew that they were addicted to drugs or addicted to alcohol or addicted to pornography, then submit that thing to God. Romans chapter 6 and verse 1 goes on to say, should we just keep on sinning so that God can keep on forgiving us, that his grace may abound? It says, Let's turn over there. And Paul talked to him like Pastor talked to us. He did to him straight. And it says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue to sin that grace may abound? Verse 2 says, God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? Chapter 6 verse 1 says, what shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? That he can keep forgiving us? That we can show the world how graceful God is, how forgiving God is? It says, God forbid. And this God forbid in the original was like, no. God forbid. How shall we that are dead to sin live any longer therein? If we're believers, we've been baptized, spirit-filled, how can we still be sinning if we're supposed to be dead to it? We can keep reading this a little bit. Know ye not that so many of us, as were baptized unto Jesus Christ, were baptized into his death? Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism unto death, that like as Christ was raised up from the dead by the glory of the Father, even so we also should walk in the newness of life. It said we should walk in the newness of life. If we're dead to sin, it said we should walk in that same thing. The same thing that happened to Jesus on the cross. He died. He was buried. That was sin dying. That was us being able to have death dead before us. When he was raised, the same power that God raised him from is the same power that God gives us to be able to walk away from whatever it is, whatever generational curses that we may have. In closing, if you have anything, anything, this is not just about, see, God is Pastor said this earlier, God is a holistic God. And he wants us free from every generational curse. Not just sin, but he wants us free from financial curses, generational curses, oppression. He wants us free from physical. He wants us free from health issues. If your mother and your grandmother died of breast cancer, he says, you can stop that today. No more generational curses. Whatever it is that has you bound, whatever it is that has you separated from God, he says, you can bring it to me today. See, I've given you already forgiveness, but now I give you grace for change. Grace for change. Say that out of your spirit. Grace for change. Grace for change. That means if you ever dealt with violence or domestic violence, that's a spirit. He wants to break domestic violence. He wants to take violence. He wants to break murder, killing, all of that off your life. Not having enough. Not being able to pay your bills. He wants to break all of that off of you right now. Grace for change.